My name is Yuri from Mouse, and we are here on week 2 on Sebring. And as you can see, we're conquering the bumps in the Porsche. Porsche should be nice to drive around here. Lovely downforce that the car has, so we should be able to keep nice speed around the flowing corners. I really love this track. Without further ado, let's get into it and see how a lap around this track looks like. So here we are, last sector, as usual. Carrying the race fuel. Nothing done on the out lap. How to start the lap. Last corner here. Driving the Porsche this time. Porsche should be nice to handle the bumps quite well. And just have nice downforce around the track. Now we're slowly over to the right hand side. We use the kink in the wall here as a reference point to turn in. And the rear always wants to get light. It's normal. Careful for the off track. Exit, brake just before the 2 cones here. Try to focus on a good exit from here. So we're braking just before the 3 cones. For the next turn, we're braking at the 3 cones on the left hand side. Try to get to the apex. Two cones on the left side here. You can go to second, I like keeping it in third. I just straight line it here, make sure we're braking a straight line between the 2 and the 3. The rear wants to step out a bit here. We can use the curb on the left hand side to catch us there, so we get a good entry for the back straight. That entry for the back straight is really important. Any extra speed you carry into the back straight will carry all the way to the last corner. About the last corner, we break it to white line at 1 cone. We try to take a very specific line there. We'll go over that more in depth right after we finish the lap. So let's have a look how this looks like. Right, so here we are, start the lap. And as I said, we're slowly running the car over to the right hand side. So we want to open up turn 1. Turn 1's entry is very, very wide. We want to open it up as much as possible, and the wall opens up at the end of the pit lane. So we want to slowly be running it over, and eventually we want to end up at the corner of the wall there where the wall starts going straight. So we want to aim for this point, and we want to gradually get there in a straight line. That's what we do here, and then we use this point here, the kink in the wall. Just before that, we brake. So just before this point, I brake. I go down 1 or 2 gears. It depends a bit on the temperature and the setup that you're using. Both can work. And then from this point here, you want to be aiming for a cone on the inside. And the cone you can see in the fence on the left side here. Let's go to the inside cam, the cockpit cam, what I mean. It's very hard to spot the apex here at this point of the corner. So what you want to do is slowly from this point here on the wall, this edge here, tap the brakes, the rear is going to become loose, and you slowly want to bring it over, slowly bring it over, slowly bring it over, and you want to apex where this cone is. It's not a coincidence that this cone is on the fence here. It's there to like show you where the apex is and where it's best to have like a reference point, because there's not really much more of a reference point and you can't see the exit yet. So you want to slowly from this side here, you can use this yellow line as well, but you want to be at the apex where this cone is here. When I'm driving, I stop looking at the cone, but it's a good reference if you hit the apex or not, and if you're doing the line right or not. And from this point here, you want to be running close to or flat out towards the exit. Then at the exit, you need to be careful even putting 2 tires into the gravel here at the curb or a bit after the curb will get you an off track. So you need to be careful not running wide on the exit here. It's really easy to do. Then we want to straight line brake for turn 2. meaning we don't want to stick to the right hand side here too much and then try to make like a sharp turn before the braking of turn 2. So what you want to do is immediately after this curb, run over towards close to the middle of the track, and then go parallel with this white line as quick as you can. It looks like this, and then after the kink, as quick as you can, you want to go parallel with the white line. That settles the car nicely, and make sure we have nice straight line braking for turn 2. Turn 2, we want to brake a bit before the 2 cones. I broke a bit late on this reference lap. And then what you want to do is you want to follow the inside curb here and follow how sharp this inside curb's going towards here. I missed the apex a bit, as I said. You want to kind of apex this last bit here and only hit the curb there. Then for the right-hander, you want to run over this curb here. So you want to run over with the right tires and follow this. You don't want to hit the curb before you hit the apex. You only want to follow the curb after you hit the apex. And we do that to open up turn 5 or turn 4 this year. So from turn 4, depends if you count the kink or not. I like to call it turn 4. You want to be opening this corner up as much as you can. It's easy to go after turn 3, so after the previous kink, to just go straight and brake in a straight line. But we want to, again, stick to the right-hand side and try to open this up as much as possible. Tap the brakes quite early, and then we have to wait a bit mid-corner. As you can see, the rear starts to get a bit loose if we do this. We have to wait a bit mid-corner to try to get to the apex, and the apex is only at this point here. So you can see the tire marks on the curb here is not what I'm using. There's this edge on the curb that I'm using, and I'm only getting to the apex, so the inside where this edge of the curb is, and not before that. And that makes sure I get a good exit from the corner. Again, don't run too wide in the exit here. It's easy to get the off track. The back straight, of course, we just want to be following the inside, quickest line. And for the hairpin, we want to brake between the 4 and the 3 cones. And the most important thing that we're doing here is we're not turning in too early. As you can see where the curb starts on the left-hand side, we're still completely on the left side of the track. So I'm not going towards the inside yet. It's easy to brake a bit later and then just straight line to the inside. And it allows you to brake a bit later, but you're going to lose twice as much time as what you're gaining on entry on the exit of the corner. And the exit is quite important because we have quite a long straight after this. So make sure you brake on the left side, and even after the first cone, you're still completely following the line on the left side. And then slowly we get to the inside, and as you can see, I'm only apexing quite late. Before I get towards the middle of the corner here, I'm not touching this curb yet. So you don't want to touch this curb too early. And what that makes it so is that when I touch the curb, my car's already angled quite well towards the exit, and I can already start building up the throttle quite early to get a nice exit from here. You can run 2 tires on the gas and straight line this kink a tiny bit here. It doesn't sacrifice your traction too much, and it makes you able to go on the throttle a tiny bit earlier. Both lines work out just about the same because you lose a bit of traction here, but you do allow yourself to go into the throttle a bit earlier. So it depends a bit what you prefer here. And we got straight here. Obviously, we just take the shortest line. You want to make sure that for the braking for the next corner, we're again following the left side white line. We brake just before the tree, use as a brake marker, down to second gear. Then only late, again, get towards the inside, so that once we're at the apex, we can start building up the throttle already. You don't want to quite clip the curb on the left-hand side here, because then it's going to be difficult to have a bit of an angle before you get to this apex here. So you want to have the car a bit further to the right side here before you hit the apex, so you can start turning left before we get to this point. And that allows us to keep a nice tight line for this flat-down kick here. Then you want to be running a bit further to the left-hand side, so you don't want to be clipping the right side here. And what that allows us to do is, once we get to the braking zone here, we got the car quite nice in a straight line braking for the next right-hander. It's very hard to get the car completely straight. If you want to get the car completely straight, you have to sacrifice too much of the entry here. If you struggle with this corner, you can try to keep it completely straight. I like to drive about maybe like a car's width away from the apex here. Again, to make it a bit easier to brake on the left-hand side here. Then you gradually start turning in. If you struggle with understeer here, you can use second gear. If you're good with the brakes and getting the car to turn in with the brakes, you can keep it in third. Slowly get to the apex. Again, you don't want to be hitting the apex before where it gets tight. So this part here, you don't want to be at the curb at all. Where it gets tight, like the corner of the curb here, you want to be using that as apex. And you want to make sure that once you're here, you get a nice angle so you can build up the throttle for a good exit onto the next straight, which is a common theme. All the exits at this track are important. And we just run in a straight line here as normal line. What we want to look out for is not running too tight here. If we're running too tight, you have to, again, just like turn 2, make a sharp turn just before the braking zone, and that unsettles the car a bit. So we want to run quite wide here, and we want to make sure that once we're at this white line here, we just run parallel to the white line. Car's nice and settled, and then we brake between the 3 and the 2 cones. Again, the rear will get light here if you brake late into the corner. That's normal. You can clip the inside curb here. If you clip it too much, it will be a slowdown, but just clipping it on this side here is not a bad thing. It can help with the rotation, but at least run over the curb. Then for the left-hander here, again, you want to clip the inside of the curb here, and it kind of pulls your car to the inside. And if you get lucky, or if you're really good at it, you hit it in a way that the car doesn't bounce. Like the car bounces a tiny bit here for me. If you hit the curb exactly on this radius here, the car doesn't bounce, it only pulls you towards the inside. You can even gain a bit more time. It's hard to do it consistent though, at least for me. Without doing consistent, the small bounce that I get is still quicker than running over the top of the curb and then only making it to the left side of the track. So you want to clip the inside of the curb here, and it pulls you over to the left side of the track. And what that allows us to do is get very far to the left side here to open up Sunset Corner, turn 15. So you want to run very wide to the left side here and basically just set the car up for a good exit. You've got 2 choices here. Both rear cards will be about the same. You either clip this curb here and run over it completely with 2 tires, or you don't clip the curb at all and run along it like I'm doing here. You can run on top of it, but you can't clip the inside of the curb here just about. That'll make the car understeer because you go on and off too quickly. So you either run over it completely and your left side tires will be here, or you don't run over it at all. You sacrifice a bit of corner speed, but you get a bit more on the exit speed. That's what I did on this lap. Then we got the back straight. And the last corner is really tricky as well. There's multiple lines into the last corner, and it depends which car and how much downforce you're running, what the best line is. What I like to do is keep the car on the left side for a very long time, flick the car to the right side while I'm still flat out. So that's important, you do it while you're flat out. If you do it after you start braking, the rear gets very loose. So when I'm coming up here, flat out, flat out, flat out, flat out. Then I flick the car to the inside. As you can see, still flat, still flat. Then I got a bit of an angle here. And then once I start going onto the brakes, just before the white line, so the car is going towards this line here, I'm going onto the brakes. But because I'm braking now, I need to hold the wheel straight. If I'm not holding the wheel straight, the rear is going to be overloaded and you're going to lose the rear and have a very twitchy rear or even spin into the last corner. So you want to do the turn in while you're still flat, or at least not on the brakes. And then when you start braking, especially the hard braking initially, you want to be having steering wheel as straight as you can. This, and then the straighter you hold your wheel, the more you can brake. And we're going to use that to brake a bit in a straight line, a bit straight, go towards this outside white line here, and then the further we get into the corner, the more we release the brake and the more we start turning in. And it looks like this. So slowly we start releasing the brake more, and slowly we start turning the wheel more and more and more. And if you do that with the right balance, the rear will not understeer, but it won't step out either. And we want to aim for the apex, again, about where the wall here is at the sharpest point, just before the bridge. At that point, we already want to be on full throttle again. And we can do that because we had quite a wide entry, and we almost even hit the white line on the left side here. As you can see, it's really, really wide, the track here. You can also run completely down the inside. With higher downforce setups, I like making like a complete circle out of the corner like this. Because again, we can rely on the rear downforce here to keep the rear in check and get a nice entry for here. We only want the apex here, and once we're at the apex, we're already flat out onto the exit again. And then we can use the extra tarmac that we got a couple updates ago here to go a bit earlier, a bit wider on throttle. And then that's the lap around Sebring in the Porsche. I hope you guys enjoyed. So there we go. That was another lap guide around Sebring this time. I hope you guys learned something. If you did, let me know in the comments. I wish everyone good luck this week. Should be a really competitive week again. Lots of fun, lots of participation. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys next week.